So we have news coming out left and right between two sectors right now. We have Bud Light and we have Miller Lite, both of which are doing absolute nonsense to try to basically attack their customers. This is something that we see happening all the time, and apparently beer companies want to jump in and attack their customers and think that they're going to somehow garner more of a client base by doing so. I don't really know the understanding behind the logic here, but again, this is what they decided to do. Now, what am I talking about? Well, apparently, according to the New York Post, the latest week has passed for sales with Bud Light, and they are now down 24%. The number keeps getting bigger in how much of a drop they've gotten in sales, amongst other things. So we're going to get into the article, guys. But of course, before we do, just consider giving this video a like so you can push us out into the YouTube algorithm, and consider subscribing because we're on our way to 18,000 subscribers. So it says Bud Light sales plunged 24% in latest week since Dylan Mulvaney disaster. I'm glad they're calling it a disaster because that's exactly what this is. We haven't seen anything like this in the public space for a very long time. Usually we see it in entertainment, movies, TV, and whatnot, but we're seeing with a physical product. We're seeing with an actual real product that people go out and buy. And Anheuser-Busch was the #1 beer brand in the country. I'm sure they still are, but for them losing 20 some odd percent in Bud Light, that is a strong hit amongst other things. And I got other articles that we're going to go over in other videos. Trust me, it gets much worse. So it says Bud Light suffered its fifth straight week of worsening sales drops since the Dylan Mulvaney controversy began, stoking doubts about whether the mega brand can recover as the crucial summer beer drinking season begin. Now, I did mention before that summer is coming. I remember I spoke about that in our live stream on Saturday Night Hypnosis every Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't miss it. But the funny thing is, we spoke about this, and I said that the summer months are coming. This is the time where beer sales are at its maximum, I would imagine, right? Everybody's out, everybody's barbecuing, everybody's going to the beach, doing their thing. So, of course, they're going to bring the coolers, they're going to bring beer, they're going to bring all this stuff. This is the time where beer is sold the highest, I would imagine. Without being an expert in the field, I'm just going to make that very clear. I would imagine that the next 3 or 4 months are probably the top months for Bud Light. With that being said, they decided to alienate their customers right before then, so they must have really thought that this ad that they had with Dylan Mulvaney was going to make them a ton of fucking money, and they found out that they just lost, I think, $11 billion in total market value in sales. It's a crazy number that they're losing. Dylan Mulvaney, just think about that. Dylan Mulvaney cost one singular company billions of dollars. One person. One person. I want you guys to realize the power of one person, and this goes both ways, for good and for bad. The power of one person cost the company billions of dollars. That is just crazy stuff to me. It says nationwide retail sales of Bud Light sales dropped 23.6% versus a year ago during the week ended May 6th, slightly worse than the 23.3% decline for the week ended April 29th, according to data from Bump Williams Consulting and Nielsen IQ data. Sales of another Anheuser-Busch brand also continued to drop, albeit at a slower rate than the week before. Those included Budweiser, down almost 10% versus an 11.4% drop a week earlier. Michelob Ultra, down 2.9% versus 4.3%, and Natural Light, down 2.5% versus 5.2% the previous week. They're feeling this. They are absolutely feeling this. You cannot pretend. I know there's some people out there that are hardcore shills, right? The moment there's a boycott, the moment the right side gets angry or whatever the case may be, they want to pretend like nothing's happening, everything is hunky-dory, they're not feeling a thing, they're a mega corporation, blah, blah, blah. I'm telling you right now, a company losing 20 some odd percent in sales is absolutely feeling that hit. That's not to say that they're going to go bankrupt, but it's just saying that they're going to probably have to do some massive amounts of layoffs soon to try to recoup some costs before they try to move forward and figure out a way to try to make this a better situation, even though I really just don't think that's possible at this point. They had the time to apologize. They had the time to come out and say something about the ad with Dylan Mulvaney. Had they nipped it in the butt within the first week, the boycott probably wouldn't have been as bad. But the longer they let this fester, the worse and worse it's going to get, and they haven't said anything still. Bud Light has been radio silent for over a month on Twitter. They haven't made a singular post. Budweiser was the one that had to come out with ads and posts and whatnot to try to make the image of Anheuser-Busch look a lot better overall, but still, people are angry specifically at Bud Light, so you have to do something about that particular brand within your company line, but they still haven't done it. It says this seems to be where the brand's weekly declines have started to settle, falling in at 20% range over the past few weeks, said Bump Williams, chief executive of the consultancy, said of Bud Light. I wonder if this is going to be the floor. And chances are this is probably going to be the floor, most likely. I don't really see the brand losing more than 20 some odd percent unless it's in a very specific state. Like if you're in a very big right wing state, 30% is definitely possible. We've seen a couple of states pull off that number in terms of the boycott, but the woke liberal states like California, they only lost about 19%, which is still a massive number because you got to imagine 19% of one of the most heavily populated states in the country is a lot bigger than 30% in one of the most rural states in the country. So you got to imagine that number is bigger overall when you're talking about the dollar amount. But in terms of percentage, yes, it is overall smaller compared to the rural states. It says, meanwhile, rival beer brands competing against Bud Light, the number one beer in the U.S., generating revenue of 4.8 billion last year, are grabbing market share at a faster clip. And as Anheuser-Busch grapples with the fallout over its ill-fated tie-up with transgender influencer that launched April 1st, they won't even name Dylan Mulvaney. That's hilarious. They just have to make sure that you understand and realize this is a transgender influencer. They want to make sure that you get that through your head, guys. Like, don't forget, this is a tranny. You know what I'm saying? Don't forget that. Sales of the Pabst Blue Ribbon were up 21.6%. Wow, that's crazy. In the week ended May 6th, slightly more than an 18.9% spike the previous week. Miller High Life gained 10.4% in sales compared to an 8.3% bump over the same time period the previous week, according to Bump Williams and Nielsen IQ data. Now, the thing is, these numbers may be up for now, and they may carry through the spring and summer. I just don't know if they're going to carry through the winter or overall just be the new normal for them. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if this 20 some odd percent on average that Bud Light is suffering from, I don't know if that's going to become the new normal. I'm sure it probably will, to be honest with you, because there's so many beer options out there. Like, you don't have to drink Bud Light. You don't have to drink Miller Lite after what Miller Lite did. There's those fucking idiots. Like, you don't have to drink these beer brands. There's plenty of beer brands out there. Maybe it's a little bit more expensive, but at least you're supporting something that you stand behind versus Bud Light that's going to sell you out to the next Gen Z customer that'll never buy their beer. That's essentially what they tried to do to everybody who was supporting Bud Light since the beginning. It says, I think the Bud Light drinker is waiting for a genuine and sincere apology from Anheuser-Busch and a crystal clear communication on exactly what happened and how important the Bud Light drinkers are to the company, Williams said. I think you might have had a point maybe a few weeks ago, but not anymore. I don't think anybody cares about getting an apology from Bud Light anymore. I think that ship has long sailed and people are just ready to take it down. I think that's just what it is. And I think at this point, they might as well just double down on the Dylan Mulvaney thing and say, you know what? We're going to at least try to win the trans community back because you damn sure aren't winning your original customers back. Anybody who decided to leave over this is long gone and they're not coming back. It says, but some question whether these or other promotions will be enough to reverse the extremely negative public sentiment towards Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light in particular. I don't think so. The company is running out of time to fix the problem as the summer selling season unofficially started last weekend and Memorial Day is in 2 weeks, Williams said. Last week, the company held a meeting at its U.S. quarters in St. Louis with distributors to discuss a strategy for dealing with the backlash, the Post learned. Among the new initiatives planned is a temporary redesign of its Budweiser and Bud Light aluminum bottles, according to a distributor who did not want to be identified. Oh, so they're going to try to change the bottles so that people can't notice that it's Bud Light right off the back. That is unbelievable. You really think that by changing the bottles that's going to make people buy your beer all of a sudden by accident? Like, how sad it is that you have to sell your beer by accident because you know the name is just god-awful. That's unbelievable. I guarantee you on the can over here, they're probably going to make the word Bud Light super small. Normally they make it big, obviously, for branding, but they're probably going to make it super small because they don't want people to look and see, oh, it's Bud Light. They want people to probably be confused and buy it by accident. It says Anheuser-Busch will produce bottles with a camouflage print. Oh, they see? And images of the Folds of Honor program, which provides educational scholarships for children and spouses of fallen or disabled American military service members and first responders, according to the executive. Oh my God. Oh my God. Why are you so they're going after the military folk. They're going after the veterans. They're going after the people who are trying to pull out the heartstrings of people in the military. That's amazing. Don't let these people pander to you. Do not, if you're part of the military, if you've ever served in the military, thank you for your service, by the way, but don't ever let these people pander to you because they don't care. They're trying to use you as a means to an end. That's what they're trying to do. And if you let them do that, that's going to be really bad for your own personal community. So do not let These people use the veteran community, the military community, nothing. Don't let them do it, because if they do it and they're successful, they're going to keep on going in the hopes that they keep making money and try to get back into the green. I just hope they stay in the red and people are smarter than that, which I honestly think most people are. So, anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy. And if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.